Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You were the first audience in the world to see Thomas Lee's The Curse of Audrey Earnshaw. Welcome to the live Q&A. I hope you enjoyed the film. With us tonight. What is day? What is night? We're in the middle of a fucking apocalypse. We have writer-director Thomas Robert Lee, producer Gianna Isabella, lead actor and star Jessica Reynolds, Audrey Earnshaw herself, actor Sean McGinley, Seamus Dwyer, as he played, and cinematographer Nick Thomas. Please welcome them all. Oh, Jessica, your camera. Ah, there we go. You're sideways.
Oh.
Again, it's apocalypse. Everything flies.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, congratulations on making a truly, truly atypical film. And one of the best occult horror films that I've seen in a long time. I mean, I just love this movie. And I guess Thomas, as writer-director, I should begin with you. I mean, what was the genesis of this project?
It was like wanting to write something in this genre specifically. So it was liking movies like The Wicker Man or like Straw Dogs or books like Harvest Home by Tom Tryon, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
using Dennis Wheatley?
Totally. So it was very much to do something in that world.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the gender politics, I mean, which were so integral to what the film is. Oh, I'm asking if you want to comment on that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like even simpler than that, like a lot of my favorite horror films feature like women as the protagonists.
Sure.
But I mean, at the same time, because I knew I wanted to make a movie that explored religion, and this was going to be a film with like a heavy emphasis in terms of writing on dichotomies and on contrast. So if there's going to be the patriarchal like Protestant religion, then it made sense for the heroes, for Audrey and Agatha to be at the other end of that spectrum.
Mm-hmm. What I find so interesting about that is that so much of the film plays like a matriarchal tone poem, and at a certain point really feels like a great feminist uprising story. And then at a certain point, you know, the coven kills Audrey's mother in a really, really savage way, and it destabilizes all of that in a way that's genuinely frightening and upsetting. And I'm curious to know why that choice. It's a
like
good one, by the way, but I'm just
like the sacrifice of Agatha at the end. I mean, that tied into like the theme of sacrifice in lots of religions.
Sure, but yeah, it's quite different in this one.
For sure. So like I knew that I wanted like Colm and Bridget, like their whole anything good to happen to them was going to be pinned on like there had to be like a climactic sacrifice of some kind, and it felt like a nice way for Audrey to snip the umbilical cord as well.
Mm. It's a good epitaph on a coming of age. Certainly, it's a good transition point.
For sure,
in the most final way, the most absolute way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Jessica. I mean, you're fairly new as an actor, and you carry this movie on your shoulders. What was this experience like, and what did you draw on for this performance?
Yeah, so well, it was first of all the craziest experience because I was still in drama school. So I was in my third year of drama school, and I just signed with my agent, and this is my first couple of self-tapes I'd ever done. So I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but this is an amazing script. Me and my agent read the script. I absolutely loved it. Especially just, obviously when you read a script that is led by women in such a unique way, you're already kind of winning. Do you know what I mean? As a woman in this industry. So reading it was just like, yep, going for that. And then, you know, I met with Tommy and we got on like a house on fire. And then I kind of got the role probably 4 days before I flew off to Canada.
4 days before?
Yeah. I think
the lead performance was this uncommon. That's wow.
Yeah.
Trial by fire,
so
right?
Yeah, I got the role on like the Friday, and then I was jetting off on the Tuesday or something crazy. But yeah, so it was wonderful. I was so, obviously, like any actor starting out, you're terrified, you know. I've never been, all I've done is kind of like extras work on sets and stuff, and I'm fascinated with being behind the camera as well as in front, editing, everything.
Oh, that's good.
But when I got on set, I felt at home. It was everyone was so kind. Everyone was very kind of eager to let me learn on set as well. Because I feel like, I don't know, I was probably quite annoying. I was like, what does this shot mean? What's happening? Nick especially was so, you know, patient with me in that way. But yeah, and I guess, you know, it's an Irish piece, and I wouldn't say Audrey's like me. I don't want to put that out there, but I found her very easy to connect with, you know, like, yeah, it's a witch movie, it's supernatural, but she's the most real human ever, right? With all
There's
her
a very strong
choices
emotional core to it. It's a very genuine film.
Yeah.
Not slop.
And the art, yeah, she's a teenage rebel. She's, you know, you see all these like these relationships, you know, in films like Carrie and like Black Swan. That, you know, it's common. It's all around us. And yeah, I could connect with her on many levels. But yeah, the experience was just beautiful. It was the best, and I always remember it.
That's fantastic. I was especially taken by the fact that it's a story of a young girl who is very literally boxed in and unseen. Mm-hmm. There's a potency to that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's so many layers to kind of her and her mother's relationship. And obviously you find out at the end that she's not actually biologically hers and everything like that. But the kind of intense bond that they have, it goes beyond that kind of, you know, nurturing mother-daughter bond. It gets a bit complicated where Agatha becomes so obsessed with Audrey, and then there's this kind of codependency that gets so thrown up in the air. And I find it interesting because I always find like the last scene where Agatha gets kind of sacrificed, and the way that Tommy wrote that, it's you still are like, what is actually going on in Audrey's head? It's not clear cut, oh, she's turned evil. It's not like that. It's like this woman is just, she's so enigmatic. Like, you know, one day she could be, you know, on a different day she might not have done that, is what I mean. and that's what I find so interesting about it. And kind of, yeah, compulsive to watch.
Cool. And speaking of performances of Mr. McGinley, I mean, what was your experience making this film?
Well, my first encounter was reading the script, which I thought was amazing piece of work, highly original and very spare and very elegant, and not a syllable wasted, left, right, or center. And then when I met Gianna and Tommy, you know, I knew I was in the midst of a fine bunch of people, and going to that part of Canada as well. I'd been there before, some years before, but I just found the whole thing, and seeing it today, I'm still sort of processing that experience. But the simplicity of the film and the way it makes tangible the forces of the unknown, the things that we all live with on a day-to-day basis, and men's fear of women and the awesome power of women, and all of those things are manifest in this film.
Yeah.
And Jessica's performance is amazing, and Catherine as well.
Oh, that whole ensemble, everybody in this film is so impressive. I mean, actually, oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, sorry. I agree. Jared and Anna and
so Gianna, sorry. Go. Yeah. This is so weird. I apologize. This is just a strange setup to do these things with.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. So yeah, Gianna, do you want to talk a bit about bringing this cast together as producer?
Well, we started out with hiring an amazing casting director from Ireland, two of them actually, Maureen Hughes and Sarah Jones.
Did they know they were casting for a production that would ultimately be shot in Alberta?
No, at the time we were trying to do a co-production with Ireland, and we ended up ultimately choosing to shoot the film in Canada. But we knew we needed the Irish cast, and so having Maureen and Sarah on board to help realize that cast was really essential and together.
Okay. Nick Thomas, cinematographer. This movie has such a beautiful earthy texture to it, and atmospherically, it doesn't feel like most Canadian films. It's, I think, probably the most atmospheric Canadian film that I've seen in recent memory. Would you like to talk a little bit about your visual approach to the story?
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate the compliment for that. Sometimes I think, and I hate to say it, sometimes Canadian films have a bit of a Canadian look to them. And I think, yeah, and I mean, I think, in early conversations with Tommy about the look and feel of it, like he had such a strong vision and has such a strong filmic knowledge that it was very clear in terms of the direction and the way we wanted to go with this. And then, just by having, this type of backdrop and the sets themselves and the wardrobes and just all those textures and all those, and the locations, it just, once you start putting all of those things together and you shoot it on kind of, the right lens and a good camera, like it really kind of comes together. And so I would say that was kind of in combination with the look, without getting, I guess, too specific into minute details about things. But there was definitely.
Oh, sorry. Yes, go.
No, I was going to say it definitely, like, not offhand which films, but there were definitely, like going into every project, there's going to be certain references and things going into it. And then we always want to kind of bring our spin and twist to those references to make the film and our own. So I think that, between, Tommy and I going back and forth, I think we found something that was, quite unique. And, like Gianna said, originally it was supposed to be shot in Ireland, which would have quite a different look. And originally, we were talking about, the mist and the fog and just a little bit more of kind of that vibe. But, once we brought it to Canada, it kind of changed things and kind of changed that vibe a little bit.
It also adds a sense of poignancy and a weird kind of fairy tale vibe to it. The idea that it's this, a very religious Irish community in Canada, and you would really, you forget that it's taking place in Canada for large parts of the film. Also, one thing that I really love is that it's set in the early 70s, I think it's 1973, but yet the art direction, the characters, the performance approaches, all of it implies in a certain way that it may be taking place centuries even before that. And I don't know if that was a deliberate choice or if that's just something that happened organically through all of the elements you brought together. I mean, I don't know who would want to speak to that, but.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like the intention behind that choice was to give the impression that this is a community that was like totally insular and like did not want to be any part of the modern world at all. So like keeping rooted in, they wear the same wardrobe, they speak the way they do, the houses look like that, they don't have any almost like an Amish community or something along those lines.
Okay. Also, I have to say, a lot of the film feels like it's coming from a place of genuine occult knowledge, particularly with respect to the rituals. And I'm just curious to know how much of this is based on research and how much of it is imagination.
I mean, like I did some research, like initially looking into all this stuff and like folklore and mythology and that kind of thing. But I mean, it was pretty broad, like the stuff, like the idea of like a bloodletting ritual, that kind of thing. And again, pardon me?
But the bearing of items, things like this.
Yeah. That was, the idea of like putting something in the ground and like linking it almost not like a voodoo doll, but something along those lines of like taking something personal to somebody and then using that as like an item, like a cursed item or like a hex. So, and then obviously having it reappear at the end of the film. That was just a bit of like I wanted to almost like the St. Joseph medallion in The Exorcist, where it like kind of inexplicably appears, or like the monolith in 2001, like just that sort of thing. Just like another bit of unreality.
Sure. Okay. All right. Now I feel this would be a good time to open it up to questions from the audience. So people out there, I know this is the least organic experience you've had for a Q&A, but at the bottom of your screen, there should be an icon that says Q&A. Click that and write us messages. We will read them and we will answer them. Well, I won't, but they will answer them for you. So we have one, from Sean Kelly, any specific reason the film was set in 1973, despite the fact that the community is in no way modern? So we sort of touched on that, but you can maybe elaborate.
I mean, yeah, just keeping the community sort of out of time, keeping that sense of timelessness about the people. 1973 specifically, Like it was originally rooted in, because three of my favorite films came out that year, including obviously The Wicker Man,
Yes.
which is the granddaddy of this subgenre, but then like The Exorcist and Don't Look Now, and but then it became something else.
Okay. Aran Crowley, a fitting family name, I must say, for this film, says, hi all, what were the visual references that you started out with in terms of films, photography, and paintings? Good question.
Nick, do you want to?
I mean, I've got some, but I'm sure you can pick up on some. I'm trying to think back now at this point. It's feels like it's been a little while, but I know like we talked about The Witch, and even like Hereditary kind of came out at the time. So there were certain vibes there. There were some others, like you had a whole bunch. I think you gave me a whole stack of DVDs or Blu-rays to watch and stuff. So
Yeah.
I sat down for a couple months watching a bunch of films.
Straw
what were some
Dogs.
of the other ones? Yeah, Straw Dogs.
I definitely see Straw Dogs in it.
The Virgin Suicides, even though it's.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like
it's just an approach to girlhood.
Yeah, just as like an approach to that kind of like ethereal, kind of dreamy, that sort of dreamy quality that film has. Like even though it's like very different film, different aspect ratio, all that stuff. But and Polanski stuff like Macbeth and Rosemary's Baby, and There Will Be Blood for the like the vibe of the town.
Yeah, there was a lot from that I definitely took in. How can you not from that film anyway?
Oh yeah.
All right, so next question. Sachin asks, was there ever a thought to show the fetus at the end? I love the way it's left unseen, but just wondering if that was considered.
No.
All right. Kevin Dory asks, what particular benefits and challenges did you encounter shooting in Alberta?
The weather.
Gianna, or I don't know, whoever would make the most sense to answer?
I think it was great shooting in Alberta. I mean, we had one of the best crews imaginable, I believe, anyway. They were really wonderful. They did such an amazing job, and they really helped us get through every single day on time and on budget and keep Alberta rolling.
Yeah, although remember we did have 2 freak snowstorms.
We did. That is true. We did have some weather issues.
That was a nightmare, but we could shuffle the schedule and shoot interiors instead.
Yeah,
we made it work, but that was probably the biggest challenges, I'd say. Those couple weather challenges.
Storms.
Yeah, continuity.
Yeah. And maybe spiritual declarations of some kind or another.
Yeah.
So Cody Halcrow asks, what is the next project we can expect from Thomas Lee?
I'm working on a script right now. It's a revenge movie. It's called The Burial. And that's kind of as much as I can say right now. That's coming together well, and some interesting people in talks. So yeah.
All right. As we're waiting for more, more. Well, there's a lot more. Great. Anonymous attendee asks, can Sean or Jessica comment on what working in the film industry is like in Ireland, and if there are any things that compare to Canada's film industry?
Sorry, I didn't catch the end of that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So are there any things that compare to Canada's film industry, shooting in the industry in Ireland?
I think once you get on a film set, anywhere you go, well, and in my experience, I've worked in a few, I've worked in the UK and worked in Canada a bit, and here, there, and everywhere. It's the same. It's a surprisingly small community worldwide. Even, I mean, you'll nearly always meet somebody from somewhere else. Like the process is the same. The structure of it, the day is the same. The climatic conditions are quite different. The air is clearer in Calgary. If it was the west of Ireland, you get plenty of mist and rain and grey skies and all that sort of stuff. So, but I think the film industry it's a world thing. It's I think you've been film sets in Ireland and anywhere else are pretty much the same, really.
Mm.
Okay. And then Blake Lazor asked, for Jessica and Sean, what was your favorite scene to shoot?
I loved all of my kind of aggressor, violent, killing ones. I don't know, because, well, there was so much. Audrey is just such like an internalized character. We all know that. She thinks with her eyes. Sometimes she doesn't even think at all. Who knows what's going on in there? So being able to kind of like unleash that, you know, they're the only few times that you see her kind of unleash her impulses, because she is so under the thumb of her mother all the time that she's constantly just trying to be kind of like the best daughter she can. Well, at the start of the film anyway. So to be able to see her, you know, like even the axe cutting scene, I love that. I love just seeing that kind of fire unleash, because she really switches, or when, you know, when she murders Lachlan, that you really see that kind of switch in her eyes. And I think it's interesting because you see Catherine, as in Agatha, you see her see it a lot of the times where she looks at my face, but then you never see the reaction of what she's just seen. So, and you know, with complex and kind of internalized characters like that, you're always wanting more. You just want to see the truth unveiled, and that's the whole fun of it as an audience member watching, you know, that kind of push and pull. So when you kind of see that physicality and anger and true impulse come out, it enables you to kind of cling on to something that you know is true. You know that she's angry in that moment. You know that that is what she wants, because throughout the rest of the film, you know, I remember when I first read the character description, it was like enigmatic, and it was like, you know, that was kind of what I clung to the whole time. And they're the funnest characters to play because you're just constantly confusing people. So yeah.
Beautiful. Sean?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, like watching the film today, the development in Jessica's performance of her awareness, or this sense of her own power emerging, that there was something awesome, and she was becoming increasingly aware of it. Not to say that it's cut and dried or that we know what it is in the end, but and it speaks to the greatness of the writing in a way, because we're talking about something that's universal here, and we kind of, it puts us in perspective in terms of our own insignificance, that we're aware of there is some kind of a power there, the power of the universe, or whatever you want to call it. You know, some people use religious imagery for these things, but there is a very tangible sense of this growing awareness of this awesome power, and it's quite terrifying. I find it at times. So that was just watching it today was, you know, I'm still reeling a little bit from it. So
it's a very powerful experience.
Yeah.
And for you as an actor, I mean, your best moment, your best memory of the shoot.
It's hard to say. I mean, I love the scene in the church.
Yeah.
Watching Don McKellar do stuff. Like, I'd worked with him before on something a few years back on television, in which incidentally he was also going to commit suicide. So every time we work together, he seems to want to commit suicide. So maybe there's something in that.
And there's that fantastic line of writing where it's a strange comfort to know how truly insignificant you are. It's such a chilling line. Said so.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great performance again, you know, and to be in the presence and that set as well, that church set, and you could see out the window and all of that. I mean, it was so it's such resonance about it, and such a sense of place and history about it as well. And just being there was great.
All right. Now, Taylor Murray asked, what was the toughest scene to shoot? So I guess we can ask that across the board. That could be
for sure.
Question.
The film originally opened with a snowstorm scene. It was just hard to like put together. Like, obviously we were like an indie film, so we didn't have the budget for like huge stuff, but we did budget and make it work with this snowstorm. But that was an interesting thing. And then the scene where Agatha got captured, that was That was another one. That was tough.
Yeah, I think the ritual scene was tough as well.
Yeah, big lighting setup.
Well, yeah, the staging's really elaborate, and the overheads or the lighting is.
It was pretty chilly that night in the barn as well, and you have a lot of the actors wearing, doing just nightgowns and things. And
so the breath, I thought the breath was optical. That was actually real. That was on set.
That was on set and practical. Yeah, we were troopers. We were trying to blast as much heat into that barn as we could, but it was all cracks, right? So it was escaping pretty fast as it came in. So.
At a certain point, the lenses will start to condense.
Worst nightmare. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and that was an all-night shoot as well, pretty much that night as well. And that was one of the nights that we did get a bit of a snowstorm out of nowhere. We had to do a unit move to go over to that building as well. So things just kind of piled up on top of each other. And made that night pretty challenging from a logistics standpoint, and just trying to get those shots.
Yeah. It was tough.
Sorry, was there some? I thought somebody was starting to say something and then stopped. So if there was any.
No, I think it was just Tommy saying the same thing.
Yeah. All right. Actually, I should ask. Just getting a film like this made in Canada, because we don't have many films like this in the country. I guess this would be a Gianna question, but what did it take to actually get this film to live?
Oh, that's a good question.
How much time do we have?
How much time? Well, basically, Tommy and I met in Calgary, and he had this great script. And once we decided to work together, we thought it was best if we went to the Galway Film Fleadh because we were going to shoot in Ireland. So we wanted to go to their market to see if we could drum up any interest. And that's when we met Epic Pictures. So we got our first bit of interest from Epic. And then we made our telefilm application after that. And we kind of just, went through and we pieced the financing together bit by bit. And then the logistics came into factor after that. And logistically, it was tough film to make at this budget level. But I think, all in all, it worked out really well. So
all right.
No complaints there.
Beautiful. I'm glad that it exists in this world.
Yeah.
Congratulations to everybody. So on a closing beat, for each of you, what will be your most cherished memory of the shoot? If there's one moment, and it doesn't have to involve something that you did, but something that you maybe observed or. There's no clear order of where to begin, right? Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, Thomas, you want to go first?
I really liked the scene. It was exciting when we shot the scene with the where Colin burns the sheep that Bridget killed.
Yeah.
Because it was like we were obviously planning all day, like, okay, right when the sun's coming down is when we have to shoot this, and it was a real dead sheep that we got from this slaughterhouse, and that was in
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a hot day? I hope not.
It smelled awful, but that whole day with the sheep was it was maybe my favorite memory.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Jessica?
So mine's just after set, and this is quite sentimental, but you're all gonna have to deal with it. And it was when it was the end, it was the closing day, and we weren't doing that much that day. And then we all just kind of went into like the catering area, and then I just remember like me and Nick were just like crying. We just got like really emotional because for me, of course, there were so many benefits, like in technical terms, in terms of me growing as an actor and finding out what it's like to be on set in kind of like a proper role. But it was the kind of kindness that I received from everyone, and how much I was kind of listened to, and vice versa. And it seemed like a genuine. I felt so safe. If there were any kind of like, more intense scenes, I was so well looked after. And I think there's a lot more room for that kind of energy and treatment in this industry. So to kind of come off and be with Tommy and Nick, like in that room at the end, I'm just feeling like, you know, we made a movie and that's awesome and whatever, but to kind of the connections that you find on set, I think I've only done 2 things so far, but they're the things that kind of last, right? I mean, the movie does as well, but like that, it's so important to kind of nurture and generate that kindness and that oneness on set all the time, because then it produces the best results and everyone leaves happy. So that's mine. Sorry to be sentimental.
Well said.
Sean?
I'll go ahead, Sean.
No, I'd like to echo what Jessica said there. I think it's the most important thing, one of the most important things about this film. I mean, well, first of all, it's amazing that it was done, that something that looks so good was done on such a tight budget. Mm-hmm. But the best part of it is the vibe on set in the most difficult of circumstances, like difficult weather conditions and time constraints and all of those things.
Carcasses.
Yeah, that not for a second did the thing crack. As Jessica was saying, that kindness and that competency radiated from the top, from Gianna and Tommy. And you know, and I've seen a few of these things, you know, bits of films and TV and stuff like that, and it's not many times you work in a as friendly and efficient and competent a working environment as with Gianna and Tommy. So for that, I am truly grateful.
Very sweet, thank you. Nick?
True.
Yeah, like well said, guys, and I kind of echo that as well. I don't think there's just kind of one moment for me. Like, I think there were a lot of challenging moments. I think with any film, you always try and push as far as you can go, given the time and budget and everything you have. And I just think it was just like every day I was just very impressed by every different department and the actors and just everybody involved. That it's really hard to kind of pick one moment, one day, one experience. Really, it was just like from top to bottom, it was just such a great experience. And yeah, just thankful to all the, you know, cast and crew and everyone for it all.
All right, Gianna?
I think I'm echoing Nick on that. It was really hard to pick one specific singular moment. I had fun every single day on set. I really enjoyed all of the people I worked with. I enjoyed all the people from, you know, the top down, and it was, you know, it was really a really great experience. You know, working with Telefilm and working with our investors and working with just everyone, all the crew, all the cast. There's way too many people to thank on the Zoom call, but I would really genuinely like to express my appreciation for everybody's involvement in the film. You know, they made it special. So thank you.
And a special film it is. Well, thank you very much, everyone. You've made something really great here.
Thank you.
All right. There's never a great way to end these. It's so strange. But, yeah, thanks for joining us, and thank you to the audience for coming out and supporting atypical filmmaking. Important to mention, The Curse of Audrey Earnshaw, you were the first audience in the world to see this. It doesn't have a release plan yet. It's brand new. So please, if you liked it as much as I imagine you must have, because I love this, and usually you're pretty in sync with my taste, knock on wood. If you love this as much as I imagine you did, please scream about it from the Twitter sphere rooftops and let the world know that this film exists and that it's worth seeking out. Because, you know, independent films really need the extra push to get visibility and to get a real platform of recognition. So there you are. Thank you, everybody. And have yourselves all a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.